Hey y'all! Thought we'd pop in today to talk about something every crafter deals with sooner or later: organizing our sewing space. Whether you've got a whole room devoted to sewing and crafting, or it's just a little corner of the kitchen table, keeping things tidy and easy to find makes the creative process so much smoother. If you're anything like me, projects tend to take over time. A few buttons wander off, scissors never quite make it back to their spot, and somehow fabric multiplies when we're not looking. It's completely normal. But a well organized space can make all the difference between feeling overwhelmed and feeling inspired. So, today we're going to talk through some simple, practical ways to set up and maintain an organized sewing area. One that keeps you creating, not searching for your seam ripper for half an hour. The first step to organizing any crafting space is to take a good look around and see what's actually there. Pull things out where you can see them. That might mean going through drawers, shelves, baskets, or bins, whatever you use. It's amazing how often we rediscover forgotten treasures this way. Fabric we meant to use, buttons from a favorite project, or that special trim we swore we'd save. Once everything's out, group similar items together so you can start planning where they'll live. This is also a great moment to pass along supplies you no longer use. Another crafter might love them, and you'll free up space for materials that really inspire you. Once everything's visible, start grouping by category. Buttons in one pile, thread in another, fabric here, patterns there. It might look chaotic for a little while, but trust the process. This step lays the foundation for every bit of organization that follows. For buttons, I love using clear jars sorted by color. It's both beautiful and practical. Your supplies double as decor, and you'll always know exactly where that perfect shade of blue is hiding. Fabric and thread can be organized by type and color. For example, keeping cottons together, flannels together, and so on. It makes grabbing what you need effortless, especially when you're in the middle of a project and want to stay in the creative flow. And for patterns or magazines, binders and expanding folders are a lifesaver. Label them clearly: one for home decor, one for garments, one for holidays, whatever works best for your projects. The key is consistency. Now let's talk about all those small but vital tools that seem to have the mind of their own: needles and bobbins, pressure feet, and that tiny screwdriver that only appears when you do not need it. Keep these in a small, clear bag or labeled boxes, grouped together by purpose. You can have one labeled machine parts, one for hand sewing tools, and another for extras and replacements. That way, when something goes missing or breaks mid project, you'll know exactly where to look. It's also helpful to keep a few duplicates of your most used tools, like your scissors and your seam rippers and your measuring tapes, so you can stash one in a drawer and one on your table. That little trick saves a lot of frustration. Now, fabric is both the joy and the challenge of sewing. It's beautiful, but it's going to take over the room if you're not careful. Proper storage not only keeps things tidy, but also protects your materials. The most important thing is to store fabric out of direct sunlight to prevent fading. If possible, use shelves or cabinets that let air circulate. Airtight containers can trap moisture and cause mildew over time. If you prefer your fabric visible, try hanging it on dowels or towel rods or even skirt hangers. It keeps everything neat, easy to access, and surprisingly decorative. Just make sure it's not exposed to too much light or humidity. And don't forget to label. Even if you can tell fabrics apart at a glance, labels help when you've got similar colors or fabric types. You don't need expensive furniture to organize your craft space. Sometimes the best storage solutions are things you already own. An old entertainment unit, for example, makes a fantastic sewing cabinet. The built-in drawers and the shelves are perfect for storing fabric notions and tools. You can even give it a coat of paint to match your creative space if you want. Plastic drawer units on rollers are another favorite. They're affordable, mobile, and versatile. Dedicate each drawer to a category: one for interfacing, one for ribbons, one for notions, and so on. You can easily move them to wherever you're working that day. If you like to hang tools or project bags, install a few wall brackets or a pegboard. It's a great way to use vertical space and keep the items you use most often within easy reach. Every crafter knows how quickly a work table can turn into a disaster zone. Between fabric scraps and pins and tools, it doesn't take long for things to pile up. To keep the chaos under control, keep a small basket or tray on your table. That's your active project zone. Everything you're currently using, scissors, thread, needles, so on, stays right there. When you finish for the day, you can set the tray aside, knowing that everything for your current project is together. Then, when you come back, you're ready to jump right back in without hunting for supplies. Now, the real secret to staying organized isn't the big overhaul, it's the little habits. Try to take 5 minutes at the end of every crafting session to tidy up. Put your scissors back, fold your fabric, and drop your pins back into their case. It sounds small, but those few minutes make your space welcoming the next time you sit down to create. Plus, when your area looks inviting, you're more likely to use it. A clean, organized workspace can spark creativity in ways a cluttered one never could. Remember, the best system is one that works for you. Some people love color coded bins and perfectly labeled shelves. Others work best with open baskets and visible tools. There's no one right way, only the way that helps you create comfortably. Once you find a system that fits, try not to change it too often. Constantly moving things around can make it harder to remember where you put anything at all. The goal is to create a rhythm, a flow between your space and your creativity. Make the space personal too. Add artwork, display a favorite finished project, or pin up an inspiration board. This is your creative sanctuary after all. Once you've found your flow, take a minute to appreciate your work. Sit in your chair, look around at the tidy fabrics and neatly stored tools, and take a deep breath. There's something special about having a creative space that feels like you, organized, calm, and full of possibility. It's not about perfection. It's about making space for joy, for focus, and for that wonderful feeling that comes when you bring an idea to life. Well, y'all, that's about it. What's your favorite way to keep your sewing or crafting space organized? Do you have any clever storage hacks or upcycled furniture finds? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas and maybe even try out a few of them myself. Happy stitching!